everything was able to work out. So I'm going to try to give a brief overview of some of the stuff that we're working on this year, and I'm also going to include just some reminders because we're not sure how widespread some of the information that we shared last year got out. And so some of the things for the review is the internal web page that SPC created for use of some of our products that we want to share with the field, but we're not necessarily wanting to share publicly. And the first and foremost of that is the watch status graphic, and you can find it at the URL that's up at the top of the web page. And actually, let me take a step back and say, we are aware that some field offices are having trouble accessing the walk page. We are working with the people at NOAA Walk to try to figure out what's going on. We have no problem accessing it at SPC. We've opened a trouble ticket. So if you have issues, please reach out to me or Bill, let us know. Reach out to Central Region Headquarters, let them know, and we'll hopefully get this resolved really quickly. With that said, so one of the things that you can find is the watch status graphics. These are graphics that show, they're essentially graphical depictions of the watch status product that the Storm Prediction Center has done for years. Again, these are just internal. It's our local guidance that we're providing to you guys in the field as to what we think is reasonable ability to clear counties. Again, this is just internal to the Weather Service. It's not going out anywhere. And you can basically in the light shaded green, it shows previous suggested clearance of counties. The darker shade are the current iterations suggested clearance, and then the red or the blue shows the ongoing valid watch. And if you go to the website, you can see this is what it would look like on a day in which multiple watches are in effect. You basically click on one of the watches, and it will take you to a web page that is dedicated just to that watch, and so you can actually see the evolution in time of the watch status graphics. Additionally, okay, there we go. On the website, you can also see our Outlook preview graphics. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going over what the preview graphic is. The name is pretty self-explanatory. It's just it's a heads up of what we're planning to issue. Our forecasters are encouraged to have it out 10 to 20 minutes before they disseminate their forecast. It's basically it's a heads up to the field so that you guys know what we're working on or what we're planning on doing. But anytime we discuss the Outlook preview graphic, it basically it leads to the discussion of if a field office has concerns about the current ongoing SPC forecast, when is the best time to raise those concerns? And the best time to do that is 1 to 2 hours before an Outlook is issued. Generally speaking, that last hour, the ball is set, or the die is cast, the ball is in motion, whatever metaphor you want to use. But we're typing up the discussion. We're going through internal QC processes, and so it's really hard to make a change inside an hour. At least have enough time to have a scientific discussion about it. So the best time to have these discussions is 1 to 2 hours. We tell our forecasters to focus on the meteorology. So if you have concerns, please raise the meteorological questions with SPC. We love to have those conversations. If we want to be a science-based organization in the Weather Service, then we need to not shy away from having science-based discussions. And so feel free to raise those with our forecasters. The second best time to have a discussion about Outlook concerns is before the Outlook is issued. So let's say it's 15 minutes before and you realize, oh wait, I forgot to call SPC or something. Don't think to yourself, oh, it's too late to raise those concerns. Go ahead and raise those concerns. We'd rather you raise something before an Outlook goes out and at least hear from us firsthand, rather than second guess yourself for not saying something to the field. Or excuse me, if we're not saying something to SPC. So feel free to have these discussions. And I jokingly almost put a third slide in here and said the third best time to discuss. I was going to put Bill Bunting's cell phone number on here, but he didn't think it was too funny. So one thing that I do want to stress is that SPC is one office, and so if you reach out to us and you have concerns about an Outlook, and you feel that our response is short or terse, please understand that it's not necessarily directed at you. You don't know what, you might not be privy to the amount of collaboration that's already ongoing, the stresses of trying to get the product out on time. So if it's a one-off short terse interaction, please don't take offense. Please understand the constraints and give us some grace as to the constraints that we're under. If you have continual issues, please don't feel free to reach out to Bill or myself, and we'll certainly look into them. But on one or two occasions, please just understand the stress that our forecasters might be under. Also on the walk page is where you'd find our internal experimental products. This is an example of the short-term tornado outlook that we had from last year. We're not doing short-term tornado outlooks this year based on feedback that we received from the field and others. We're gonna go on a slightly different approach this year, and I'll cover some of that in just a minute. But this this walk page is where you would find some of these internal guidance experimental products that we want to share with the local offices. Okay, I guess I should stop and ask, are my slides being updated? Are you guys seeing it? Because my preview of what's going out to the field says we're stuck still on the watch status graphics.
We see your href viewer update slide.
Oh, okay, good. That was my concern. I'm glad we're moving along. I will close that window and ignore the GoToWebinar display. Okay, so the href viewer, some of the updates that we have planned that could come in as early as this week, but more likely I think it may be available next week. We're adding 2 new members to the href viewer. We're adding a HER and a 6-hour time lagged HER to experiment to see what kind of guidance the HER can include into some of the calibration work that we're doing for hazards related to severe thunderstorms. We're also going to extend the href to 48-hour lead time, even though some of the members will drop out later in the period. This will hopefully provide additional guidance in the day 2 time period. Just some new products. We're adding the 4-hour max and min UH tracks from 2 to 5 kilometers. A caveat here is that some of the members of the href do not have minimum UH as of last month, but we're working with EMC NCO to try to see if we can get those included in future iterations of the model. Based on some requests from the field, we're adding freezing rain QPS and FRAM-based accretion estimates, as well as ensemble mean cloud cover for low, mid, and high level clouds. There are additional overlays that are going to be added as well. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I encourage you to take a look in the next week or so to see what some of the potential contour overlays, both in terms of model fields as well as GIS capabilities that we will be adding. Just a heads up, this is a social media graphics slash situational awareness image website that we've created. The URL is at the bottom of the slide. That URL auto updates every 5 minutes. The underlying graphic is checked for and recreated every minute based on when a new Outlook goes out. So it basically should depict the current set of official forecasts on our website. Again, you can go to the URL at auto updates. I know that some offices have reached out and said that they're using this as a situational awareness display. I have plans in the works to try to extend this to have a fire situational awareness display as well, and then maybe also like a 4-panel for a day 1 or a combined day 2, day 3 4-panel. So if you have any suggestions or something you'd like to see, feel free to reach out to me, and I will certainly see what we can do. I should also add that if you want the direct access to the underlying image, if you replace the .html in the URL with .png, it will actually show you, take you straight to the underlying image rather than the auto updating web page. All right, so just some general SPC updates. Sometime in the fall of 2019, we're going to move from day 2 total severe, so rather than a single severe probabilistic forecast, to individual hazards of tornado, wind, and hail. So our day 2, rather than being similar to our day 3, our day 2 will become more similar to our day 1. So individual hazard forecasts out to 48 hours essentially is what we're transitioning for. It will require an upgrade to the AWIPS software. I believe the upgrade is scheduled to go in sometime late summer, early fall. And so depending on when that gets deployed and fielded, we will make the switch sometime after that. So I think officially we're scheduled for Q4 of FY18, but I would not be surprised if it slips to October, making it Q1 of FY20. It really depends on how long it takes to deploy the AWIPS to the field. Also, there are efforts underway. We're working with the AWIPS program office and some others to address the issues that arise when a severe thunderstorm or tornado watch is locally extended in time and neighboring offices have not canceled it before the original expiration. In this situation, the neighboring offices kind of lose control of the watch and they get stuck being in the watch until the totality of the watch is expired. I think a mitigation that's going to try to go in sometime this year is we're going to, the AWIPS program office is going to make a change to keep the watch in the AWIPS database 6 hours past its original expiration. By doing so, if an office extends locally in time past the original expiration, the neighboring offices would still be able to cancel after the original expiration has passed. So hopefully this will prevent watches from being orphaned in your CWA based on the actions of another WFO. SPC is partnering with OPG on a mesoanalysis boot camp. Hopefully some of you guys will be in attendance at the boot camp. Bill Bunting and Rich Thompson will be representing SPC for, I believe, all 3 of the weeks. We look forward to working with you guys there. So as I alluded to previously, we're moving away from a day 1 outlook being the short-term update to the to the tornadoes forecast based on predefined windows. We're basically trying to move from a predefined issuance to an event-driven issuance. The idea here is that when we issue a mesoscale discussion or a watch, inherently there's some additional information regarding probabilistic information of severe convection, and so we want to reflect that in our convective outlooks. So we'll be experimenting that with the spring, and you'll find some of the guidance on the internal SPC webpage that was previously mentioned. Some additional work, we're working to smooth our GIS files. We're exploring this notion of continuous probabilities. So rather than being stair-step 2, 5, 10, 15 for tornado, you'll be able to see actual continuous gradation in the probabilities. And the idea is hopefully this will allow us to explore better ways of communicating the risk when you're on the edge of one of the predefined lines. Sorry for the noise from my toddler. The idea is if you're sitting right there next to a 10% line, a 10% tornado line, we don't want people thinking, am I in or am I out? Am I a 5 or a 10? Realistically, your threat is probably somewhere between a 9, 10, or 11. And so we want to be able to communicate that better. And so we're working on ways internally to figure out how we want to create this and how we're going to communicate it. And so we certainly look forward to working with the field models. And then we're also working on ways to try to improve the severe weather timing information. And I've got a couple slides in this presentation that I will quickly go through and let it loop. This is a comment. These are all basically, it uses guidance from the HREF combined with the SPC human total 24-hour forecast to try to break down some temporal evolution of the forecast. And this is the example for February 23rd. It actually works fairly well. But it's certainly not finished. This is just a one-off case. We still need to see how it works. It's still in its formative stages. But this is kind of some of the graphics that we hope to one day be able to to create and put on the internal web page to help facilitate local DSS in a nationally consistent manner. We are not wanting to share this directly with emergency managers, but the idea is that we can create this in a nationally consistent manner so that you can work with your partners and you and the local offices handle the DSS, but you know that from CWA to CWA, WFO to WFO, it's a nationally consistent message. You don't have to worry about the timing information from one WFO being different from the timing information from another WFO. And so we look forward to working on this. And I'll quickly shift to the next one. You can kind of see this earliest reasonable time of flight risk probabilities, kind of our initial foray into the to something that the Hurricane Center has tried with their time of arrival graphic. And then also you can start to imagine scenarios where you have these point and click, you point on a location and it shows you the temporal evolution of the risk hazard. So I know I'm right at my my time allotment, so I'll stop here. There's additional slides in this slide deck showing some implicit information regarding tornado intensity distributions based on the SPC forecast. Down the road, we'll be working on ways to try to make this more explicit. But just for your knowledge, I've included some of the slides, and hopefully we can share the slide deck with you, and you can take a look. And if you have additional questions,